Thank you very much. As we debate this proposed bill today, some of you may be asking yourselves or telling yourselves that the matter of fetal pain relief is more suited to medical guidelines than primary legislation. In fact, I'm sure that many of my Dáil colleagues will remember that when similar amendments were proposed 3 years ago, the then Minister for Health, Simon Harris, refused them. He stated the purpose of this legislation is not to regulate or dictate the practice of obstetrics. There is a very thin line that we should not cross, where we move from being policymakers, he said, to being doctors. However, it is interesting to note that the Animal Health and Welfare Act 2013 clearly mandates the use of an appropriate anaesthetic to animals to prevent or relieve any pain during an operation or procedure. I wonder whether there have been any concerns about those 2013 Dáil legislators. Have any of them moved from being policymakers to being vets yet? But there are other reasons why it may not be prudent or indeed ethical to simply repeat the mantra that we should just trust doctors unquestionably when it comes to the topic of fetal pain relief. In the first instance, it is clear that despite having had 3 years to do so, there is yet no guidelines around the administration of anaesthesia during abortion procedures. No guidelines yet, despite the fact that we now know that late-term abortions are being performed in Ireland. No guidelines yet, despite the fact that we now know that fetal pain is likely experienced much earlier in pregnancy than previously thought. No guidelines yet, despite the fact that we now know that 2 extremely brutal abortion methods are being used during late-term abortions in Ireland. D&D, or dismemberment abortions, feticide. The second one is feticide involving lethal injection. And it's worth mentioning that if anyone is in any doubt of why pain relief may be required during a later term abortion procedure, I would recommend that they look up for themselves what is involved in these 2 procedures. A really good starting point is the report on late-term abortions and fetal pain produced by the all-party Oireachtas Life and Dignity Group. This is easily available for anyone to view at www.lifeanddignity.ie. Then, in addition to the fact there is no sign of these medical guidelines, there is another factor that must be considered when suggesting simply deferring to doctors. This was addressed in the 2019 article in the British Medical Journal of Medical Ethics entitled Reconsidering Fetal Pain. This article was particularly noteworthy as its 2 authors, Stuart Derbyshire and John Bachman, came together to address the evidence for fetal pain. Despite having very different views regarding the morality of abortion, they noted that it appeared that the only procedures where invasive fetal intervention proceed without anaesthesia are abortion procedures. The article states that all evidence suggests the surgeons performing therapeutic fetal interventions routinely consider pain relief for the fetus, while surgeons performing abortions have their focus on the pregnant woman as their patient. Consequently, they more rarely consider fetal pain relief during the preparation and the execution of abortion. So I don't think it would be unreasonable for us to conclude, perhaps unsurprisingly, that medics who choose to perform procedures intend to end the life of the fetus may have a blind spot when it comes to giving any consideration to the welfare of the fetus during those procedures. So to quote William Wilberforce, you might be able to turn and look the other way, but you can never again say that you did not know. So I ask you once again, please help us in this injustice and please support this bill today. This morning we are discussing a legislative proposal, and it is very easy to get caught up in the legal jargon and technicalities. However, it is important to remember that at the core of this bill we are simply asking whether this House is prepared to support a measure that will help avoid unnecessary pain being inflicted on vulnerable human beings. If you care at all, compassion, please support this bill today. If you care at all about humanity and mercy towards the vulnerable among us, please support this bill today. If you care at all about following the science, which becomes ever clearer that the unborn children are likely to feel pain much earlier than what was previously believed. If you care about following the science, please support this bill today. If you care at all about preventing cruelty to animals, please extend the same protection to the unborn human beings, and please support this bill today.